I always thought turning 30 would feel different, like crossing an invisible line between youth and wisdom, between building and becoming. But instead, I was alone, staring at a table set for two, candles flickering low in the quiet of our penthouse apartment. She was supposed to be here. Maya. 10 years. 10 years of late nights, shared dreams, whispered promises in office hallways. We built Novacore Technologies from the ground up. I as the chief technology officer, she as the vice president of sales. We joked that we were the power couple of Silicon Avenue. And we were, until that night. My phone buzzed. Maya 8:02 p.m. Sorry, love, company party ran late. Can we celebrate tomorrow? Read. I stared at the message until my screen dimmed. Tomorrow. After a decade together, after everything we'd survived, tomorrow. The candles melted into wax puddles. The food went cold. I poured another glass of whiskey and told myself not to overthink it. She was working. It was just business. That's what I wanted to believe. But fate has a twisted sense of humor. Around midnight, I got a notification. A new post tagged Novacore Party. I shouldn't have opened it. But I did. The video played loud music, strobe lights, laughter, and there she was, Maya, in her red dress, the one I bought her for our 5th anniversary. And in her arms was him, the new sales intern, Ryan. Barely 23, all charm, no substance. They weren't dancing. They were kissing. Time froze. The room around me blurred. My chest tightened until it hurt to breathe. The air tasted like betrayal. I didn't think, I drove. 20 minutes to the venue, lights blurring past the windshield, hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. When I got there, the music was still pounding. I pushed through the crowd until I found them, laughing by the bar, his hand on her waist. Maya. She turned, startled. Her smile faded. Ethan, what are you doing here? I held up my phone. The video played in silence between us. You skipped my birthday for this. Ryan tried to step in, smirking. Hey man, relax. Don't, I glared at him. You don't speak to me. Maya's eyes darted around. People were watching. Ethan, please, let's not make a scene. A scene, I laughed bitterly. You made one when you decided to humiliate me in front of half the company. Ryan put his arm around her. You heard her, man, chill. Before I could react, security stepped in. A friend of hers whispered something to them, and just like that, I was escorted out. Thrown out of my own company's party. My company. And that's when it hit me like a freight train. She forgot who really owns Novacore. The next morning, I walked into the office early. The sun hadn't even risen yet. The air felt heavy, like the calm before a storm. By the time everyone gathered for the all-hands meeting, Maya walked in late, pretending nothing happened. Ryan followed, all smiles. I stood on the stage and looked out at my team, my family. Good morning, I said, voice steady but cold. Before we begin, I have an announcement. The room fell silent. Maya's smile wavered. Effective immediately, I said. Maya Rivera and Ryan Cole are terminated from Novacore Technologies for gross misconduct. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Maya's face went pale. Ethan, you can't. I can, I said. And I just did. Security will escort you both out. Ryan opened his mouth, but Maya tugged at his arm, eyes wide and wet. Ethan, please, don't do this here. You already did this here, I said quietly. She didn't say another word. Just turned and walked out, head low, heels clicking against the polished floor until the doors closed behind her. Silence. Then a slow, uncertain round of applause from somewhere in the back. I didn't acknowledge it. I couldn't. I just stood there numb. That night, I sat in my office alone, city lights flickering beyond the glass walls. Her desk was still there, photos of us smiling on old product launch days. I picked one up. We looked so happy. A part of me wanted to cry. Another part wanted to burn it all down. But I didn't. I just whispered to the empty room. You destroyed everything we built. And somewhere deep inside, a colder voice whispered back. Then rebuild it stronger. That's when I decided this wasn't just heartbreak. This was the beginning. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't end the moment you expose it. It echoes. Through whispers and hallways. Through the way people look at you, half pity, half curiosity. Through the emptiness left behind when someone you trusted becomes a stranger. By Monday morning, the office was buzzing with gossip. Everyone had seen the video. Everyone knew what I'd done. And yet, when I stepped into the building, silence followed me like a shadow. The elevator doors slid open. I walked through the glass corridor of Novacor, past the digital timeline of our milestones. 2015, founded by Ethan Cross and Maya Rivera. 2020, $50 million valuation. 2024, Series D funding round closed. Each year was a piece of us. Now every plaque felt like a lie. In the conference room, my executive team waited uneasily. Lena, our CFO, broke the silence first. Ethan, that was quite a show on Friday. I didn't plan the show, I said, sitting down. She did. She sighed. Look, no one blames you, but we need to talk about the fallout. HR been flooded with resignation threats. Maya had a lot of loyal people. I leaned back, loyal to her or to the company. Sometimes that's the same thing, she said quietly. The words stung more than they should have. By lunch, the board had called an emergency meeting. I expected questions. I didn't expect him to be there. Ryan. In a cheap suit, sunglasses on indoors, pretending to look confident. Security, I said, already standing. But Lena grabbed my arm. Wait, he's here with legal representation. I froze. Excuse me. A tall woman stepped forward. Mr. Cross, Mr. Cole intends to file a wrongful termination suit. He claims you acted out of personal bias and public humiliation. I almost laughed. He was sleeping with a company executive at a corporate event. Off the clock, she countered. No policies explicitly prohibit consensual relationships. I felt my jaw tighten. He was an intern, she was his superior. The lawyer smiled. Then your issue is with her, not him. That was the moment I realized something darker was happening beneath the surface. Maya was pulling strings, even after being fired. That night, I went home and sat on the balcony, overlooking the city we built together. The rain had started, soft at first, then heavier, like the sky was finally doing the crying I couldn't. My phone buzzed. A private message on LinkedIn. From Anonymous. You might want to look into Maya's accounts. Start with Core Connect Solutions. No signature, no context, just a whisper in the dark. I called Lena. I need you to dig into something, I said. Every expense tied to Maya in the last 18 months. No one else knows, not the board, not HR, just you and me. She hesitated. Ethan, what are you expecting to find? I looked out over the rain-soaked skyline. I don't know, I said, but my gut says this betrayal runs deeper than a kiss. The next morning, Lena came to my office, ashen-faced, holding a folder thick with printouts. Ethan, she said softly, you should sit down. The papers hit my desk. Account transfers, shell companies, fake invoices. All leading to one place, Core Connect Solutions. A company registered under Ryan Cole's name. And the total amount funneled out of Novacor in the last year, $8.2 million. My breath caught. Maya did this. Lena nodded. She authorized every transfer, disguised them as vendor payments. Ryan was the fake vendor. For a moment, the world went silent. Everything we'd built, the code, the team, the trust, it had all been feeding a fraud. I laughed bitterly, the sound hollow in my chest. She didn't just break my heart, she robbed me blind. Lena hesitated. What are you going to do? I looked up, eyes cold. What any owner would do, I said. Finish what she started, by destroying everything she built around her. That night, I called my lawyer. "Begin the audit," I said. And once it's airtight, I paused, my voice steady but low. "Call the police." He was silent for a moment. "Are you sure about this, Ethan? It'll be public, brutal." "She made it public the moment she kissed him in front of my company," I said. "Now it's her turn to face the consequences." But karma, as I was about to learn, has its own sense of irony. Because before the police even got to Maya, someone else did. Her intern wasn't who he claimed to be. And his past was about to catch up with both of them in ways none of us could have imagined. It's strange how silence can feel louder than chaos. After the audit, the company felt hollow, too clean, too quiet. Maya's perfume still lingered faintly in the hall outside her office, like the ghost of a life I used to live. I thought firing her and Ryan would bring closure. But the universe wasn't done yet. It was just getting started. 3 days after the audit, Lena knocked on my office door. She looked pale, holding her phone like it was something poisonous. "Ethan, you need to see this." She slid the phone across my desk. A video was playing, leaked from somewhere on the internet. Ryan Cole, or whoever he really was in an expensive hotel suite, yelling at an older woman. She was in her 50s, stunning, dressed in a black silk robe and diamonds. The captions below read, "Socialite Helena Voss confronts her young lover for cheating with ex-executive Maya Rivera." I stared at the screen. "Who is she?" Lena swallowed hard. "Helena Voss, old money, Voss Capital. You've probably seen her name on half the real estate in Manhattan." "And him." "Not Ryan Cole. His real name is Liam Carter, former escort, scammed multiple clients under fake identities, disappeared 2 years ago." My pulse quickened. So Maya wasn't just cheated with, she was played. That night, the story exploded online. Novacore scandal was trending. Headlines read, "Tech executive caught in affair with conman linked to billionaire's mistress." From boardrooms to bedrooms, the fall of Maya Rivera. The internet did what it always does, devoured the story, one rumor at a time. I should have felt satisfaction. But instead, I just felt empty. For years, I'd loved her like she was oxygen. Now I was watching her drown, and part of me still wanted to pull her out of the water. That was the worst part of betrayal. You don't stop caring overnight. You just learn to stop reaching out. 2 nights later, my lawyer called. His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it, a tension I recognized. "Ethan, you need to hear this from me before you see it on the news. Liam Carter, he's missing." I frowned. Missing. His car was found near the Hudson. No body yet, but... He hesitated. "The police are questioning Helena Voss." I didn't say anything for a long time. Somewhere deep down, I already knew what that meant. When you live off other people's money, eventually you scam the wrong one. And Helena Voss wasn't the kind of woman who forgave easily. By the end of the week, Maya reached out. Not through a lawyer, not through the company. Through me. An email. No subject line. No greeting. "Ethan, please, you don't understand. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. He said we'd start something new, that we'd leave the company behind. I thought I was in love. If you still have any heart left in you, meet me. One last time, I need to explain. Maya." I read it a dozen times before replying. "Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Cafe Oralia, public place, don't be late." It was raining again when I got there. Cafe Oralia was half empty, the kind of quiet, golden-lit place where time seemed to slow. Maya was already there, sitting by the window, black coat, messy bun, eyes tired and swollen. When she looked up and saw me, tears filled her eyes. "Ethan." I sat down across from her, folding my hands. "Talk." She hesitated. "I made a mistake. I thought he cared about me. He said you were using me, that you'd never let me step out of your shadow." I stared at her, and you believed him. I wanted to believe someone did, she whispered. I was drowning in your success. Everyone called you the genius, the visionary. I was just the woman behind the man. Her voice broke. He made me feel seen. I felt a bitter laugh rising in my chest, but swallowed it. You embezzled $8 million, Maya. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed hundreds of people who trusted us. Her eyes widened. 8 million? No, I only signed off what he told me was vendor payments. Ethan, I swear I didn't know. But I'd already heard enough. Guilt or not, her name was on every signature. Her hands weren't clean. I stood up. You should get a lawyer, because soon this won't just be a scandal, it'll be a case file. As I turned to leave, she grabbed my wrist. Ethan, please, she said softly. I never stopped loving you. I looked at her, rain streaking the glass behind her. You loved the empire, I said, not the man who built it. And then I walked out. 2 days later, the news broke. Helena Voss under investigation after her lover, Liam Carter, found dead in her Manhattan townhouse. The story was everywhere. And so was Maya's name. Her fresh start had become her public execution. Every channel replayed clips of her. Every article dissected her fall. And me. I was just the ghost she left behind, watching karma finish what I started. That night, Lena came to my office again. Ethan, she said softly, it's over. You got your revenge, let it rest. But I shook my head. Not yet, there's one last thing. She frowned. What could possibly be left? I turned to the window, the city glowing beneath the rain. The money, I said quietly. We got justice. Now it's time for recovery. Because revenge wasn't the end of my story. It was the clearing of the ashes. So something new could rise. It's strange how after the fire you start to hear the quiet again. The kind of quiet that isn't peace. Just absence. No phone buzzing. No late-night meetings. No Maya. Just the hum of the city and the hollow echo of everything that used to be mine. 2 weeks after the scandal broke, Novacor was still standing, but barely. Stockholders panicked, investors pulled out, and the board whispered about new leadership. Funny how loyalty works in business. You can give people a decade of your life, build them an empire, and the second you bleed, they smell opportunity. Still, I didn't fight it. Not this time. I was tired of fighting ghosts. I signed the papers quietly, transferring my shares, my title, everything that once defined me. Lena tried to talk me out of it. Ethan, don't do this. Novacor needs you. You're the heart of it. I smiled faintly. That's the problem. I don't have a heart left to give it. She looked down. So what now? I rebuild, I said, but not for revenge, not for anyone, just for me. The police did their part. Maya was arrested for embezzlement. The evidence was airtight. When the news aired the footage, her in handcuffs, head bowed, lips trembling, I didn't feel triumph. I felt pity. We had built something beautiful once. We could have grown old together, sitting at that same table where she left me alone on my birthday. Now she'd spend years behind bars, paying for a mistake that started with pride and ended with greed. And somehow, I still wished things had gone differently. That's the part no one tells you about revenge. You never really win. A month passed. I rented a small workspace downtown, bare walls, one desk, one chair. I wrote code again, not for profit, not for shareholders, just for the joy of creating something that didn't hurt anyone. Sometimes, Lena dropped by with coffee. She never said much, just sat quietly beside me, typing away on her laptop while I built something new from the ashes. One evening, as the sunset bled gold across the city skyline, she looked up and asked softly, "Do you ever regret it, firing her that day?" I paused. "No," I said honestly, "but I regret letting it get that far. I was so obsessed with success that I stopped seeing the cracks." She smiled faintly. Maybe that's what growth looks like, not moving on but seeing clearer. Her words lingered long after she left. One night, I walked along the Hudson, the same river where Liam Carter's car had been found. The air smelled of rain and salt and cold steel. I watched the water shimmer under the city lights and thought about everything that had burned away. Then I thought about everything that could still grow. Maybe pain wasn't just destruction. Maybe it was a kind of pruning, cutting away what's rotten so something honest could finally bloom. A year later, Novacor was still alive under new management. I'd built something new, smaller, leaner, but pure. An AI platform for small businesses, ethical, transparent, clean. Lena came on board officially. Not as my CFO, just as my partner. Not love at first sight, no. But something quieter, steadier. The kind of bond built not from sparks, but from understanding. One evening, she handed me a small box. Inside was a bronze keychain, engraved with the words, "From ashes, iron." I looked up, smiling softly. "It's beautiful." She shrugged. "You always said strength isn't built in success, it's forged in the fire." I closed my hand around it. Then I guess we've both been tempered enough. For the first time in years, I didn't feel hollow. I didn't feel angry. Just alive. The empire I lost was built on ambition and pride. The one I was building now was built on truth. And maybe, in the end, that's what real revenge looks like. Not destroying those who wronged you, but becoming the person they never could. A year passes faster than you think. One moment you're standing in the ashes. The next you're watching wildflowers grow where fire once lived. The world moves on. The pain softens. And the ghosts eventually stop visiting. It was a quiet morning in early spring when I got the letter. Plain envelope, no return address. But I knew the handwriting the second I saw it, clean, elegant, the loops on every Y and G, just a little too perfect. Maya. I sat with it for a long time before opening it. Inside, a short note, handwritten in blue ink. "Ethan, they told me I'll be eligible for early release in a few months. I don't expect forgiveness, but I'd like to see you one last time, not to ask for anything, but to say goodbye properly. If you can find it in you to come, I'll be in the visitation room on the first Sunday of next month. Maya." I read it twice, then folded it and stared out the window. The city was waking up, trains rumbling, sunlight spilling across glass towers. Life was moving forward. So why was part of me still looking backward? 3 weeks later, I found myself walking through the gates of the correctional facility. Security checks. Metal detectors. The hum of fluorescent lights. It wasn't anger that brought me there. Just unfinished gravity. When I entered the visitation room, she was already waiting. Orange jumpsuit, hair tied back. But her eyes, those same eyes that once sold dreams and sealed deals, were softer now. Smaller somehow. She smiled faintly when she saw me. "You came." I nodded, taking the seat across from her. "You asked." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence between us was full, of history, of regret, of everything that could have been said but wasn't. "I wanted to tell you I'm sorry," she said finally. "I know that doesn't fix anything. I just needed you to hear it from me." I studied her face. There was no manipulation left, no sharpness, just fatigue and honesty. "You were angry," I said quietly, "and I don't blame you. I pushed too hard. I made the company everything. Maybe I forgot about us somewhere along the way." Her eyes shimmered. "No, Ethan, I broke something pure. I let pride poison what we had." I leaned back, exhaling. We both did. For a long while, we sat in silence again. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "Do you ever miss it, us?" I smiled faintly. I miss who we were when we believed in something together, but I don't miss the person I had to become to keep it. She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. "You were always better at rebuilding than I was." I shook my head. "No, I just finally learned when to stop holding on." When it was time to leave, she reached out. Her hand hovered halfway across the table. For a second, I hesitated, then I took it. Her palm was cold, trembling. But in that touch, there wasn't love anymore. Just understanding. Closure. "Goodbye, Maya," I said softly. She smiled through her tears. "Goodbye, Ethan." Outside, the sky was streaked with gold and silver clouds, the kind of light you only get after rain. I stood there for a while, breathing in the air. It smelled like spring. When I got home that evening, Lena was waiting, 2 mugs of coffee on the table, a soft smile on her face. "How was it?" she asked. "Hard," I said, then after a pause, "necessary." She nodded. "You look lighter." I smiled. Maybe I finally put it down. That night, I sat on the balcony as the city glowed below, the same city where everything fell apart, and where somehow everything began again. The bronze keychain Lena gave me sat in my hand, catching the light. From ashes, iron. I whispered the words like a prayer. Because they weren't just about strength. They were about forgiveness. About rebuilding, not from rage but from peace. Maybe that's what true revenge is. Not seeing them suffer, but watching yourself heal. And as the last light faded behind the skyline, I finally felt it. The quiet, warm pulse of freedom. Not from her. Not from the past. But from the man I used to be.